would like a motion for an executive session under Wyoming Statute 16-4-405 little I to discuss initial contract and continuing contract teachers and non-tenured certified staff.
I'll make a motion.
It's been moved and seconded to move into executive session. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. It's been moved and approved. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda with that addition. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Well, we got through that. Yay. Now the fun part, recognitions. Bryce.
I'd just like to recognize everybody who put time and energy into the home track meet. First one,
huge event. The parking lot was loaded. A lot of kids got to participate, and just a lot of work goes into that. So everyone that participated in that, thank you very much, because it was a big undertaking. I'd like to thank the board for providing food for parent teacher conference.
Oh,
how about that? Right.
yeah.
I'd like to thank the board for providing food for parent teacher conferences. Then also the junior class PLC team, they provided breakfast yesterday for all of the juniors as they took the ACT or before they took the ACT. So it was a nice nice start to their day to get them fueled up. And then another really cool recognition last year, you guys may remember, we had a Daniels Fund Scholarship winner, Heath Hinkle. We're fortunate enough to have another one this year. Nate Strickland was selected as a Daniel Fund Scholarship winner.
Awesome.
For those who don't know, that's a massive scholarship.
It sure is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie.
Okay. I'm gonna piggyback off of Bryce. He took my thunder. I was gonna see how many of you noticed the 1,000+ people that we had at our track meet. But I want to specifically thank some people. We had lots and lots of helpers. Sue Simon manned the hospitality room all day long and volunteered that time for us. Amy Hoffman and Doug Livingston also spent all day long running events, field events for us, helped a ton. And Adam Ertman and his crew, I cannot tell you how efficient and how much help they were. He even had a couple of thoughts for me. You know, he was like, hey, did you think about it? And I went, no. And he made a phone call and made it happen. So just fabulous, fabulous help at that track meet. And then I was thinking this morning, we had Double Aces Empowering Teens that I'd like to recognize as well. They brought, oh, I took your thunder. They brought free books for our students that were focused on just what's going on in their life and focused on how to have a growth mindset. And they were, you know, small, kind of easy read books. Some of them were just Be Who You Are, I think was the title of one. And they just gave them out for free to our kiddos. So that was pretty cool too.
Awesome. Thank you. Tyler.
Piggyback on both. Thank the board for the meals. That's always really appreciated. So thank you. Along those same lines, and I've talked to you guys about Haley Hemrick and Empowering Teens a few times throughout the year. She's had a kindness campaign going throughout the year. Each month, something for staff, something for students, something to kind of help. And so also last week during parent teacher conferences, they fed our staff breakfast. And then tomorrow, spoiler alert for middle school students zooming into a board meeting tonight. Kids in the back there, pay attention. There's going to be some bookmarks on their lockers that they're going to be gifted to every student with some quotes and different things like that. So again, just shout out to Empowering Teens and Haley and all that they're doing. Along with the track meet and then our first home soccer game tomorrow. With some sketchy customer service from Turf Tank. Bo Gregory, Sally Hoover, and Caleb Hoover problem solved all those things and got sector lines painted last week. We've got a soccer field painted this week. So special shout out to those three people, especially Caleb as a high school student. And then another thing I've talked to you guys a lot about, but I wanted to give another shout out and I'll send you a picture. The hunter safety class and lifetime activities. Chad Austinson arranged for Joe Sandrini to then come in and do the final piece of instruction for all those kids. So we're going to have kids that are fully certified and ready to go through hunter safety. And I am working with Chad on making him an endorsed educator for that class going forward. So the district will have one in-house. We're working on some plans for that too. But thank you to Joe. He gave us 3 days last week to come in and do that.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Does our football machine do soccer? It does?
It does it all. Just ask Turf Tank. But then when you need certain things to work and sometimes they're not as responsive, so you got to solve some problems in-house. But yeah, it does a little bit of everything if you program it. It'll do your parking lot for you if you want.
Brandy.
Backing on or going off of what Bryce said about the food, thank you, board from the elementary school. The teachers were appreciative that they didn't have to cook. And then also a big thank you to Dawn for arranging all of it and putting it out and picking it up. That's quite a feat for our large staff, so appreciate that. And then big shout out to Connie Heeb and the book fair crew. They raised $10,100, so it was a successful book fair. And then Brad's going to share our other exciting news, so.
Brad.
Madam Chair, thank you. I have 3. The first of which is to recognize Shannon Huber. Shannon is one of the state finalists for the Presidential Awards in Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. More news to come down the road. The other one that I have for you is to recognize. Did you see that skill there? That was pretty good, wasn't it? I lost my board packet earlier tonight. That's why everyone's sort of amazed. The next one I have is Erin Brzezinski, and she earned her doctorate in education in reading science at St. Joseph's, and she's also been awarded the Distinguished Student Award at the same time, and now she will be their graduation speaker. So kudos to her and all that work. And then the other one, and I might be a little bit in Mr. Hoffman's stage here, but our science crew at the high school and middle school have signed on for the Governor's Ride initiative. They'll be part of, I believe, the second cohort in that. So we are really sort of looking forward to seeing how that all works and how maybe it changes our instructional delivery and maybe even credit recovery. So kudos to those people.
Bravo. Anyone else with recognition? Well, I just want to say, I enjoyed once again attending parent-teacher conferences and actually spend more time talking to teachers than parents at all of our buildings, but well done. Well done. All right, visitors' comments and special programs. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Old business, proposal for the high school golf, or for proposal for high school golf on first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposal to add golf as a high school sport. Is there any discussion? I believe we were going to get some more information to add to our consideration, correct?
I believe that is true. Brad, do you want to address anything that you have found? Or
We're still working on
okay, okay. So
Okay.
if you don't mind, I'll give you at least my version of our conversation, and then if it's not correct, you can jump in. So just so you know, this is sort of a deja vu for me, and it's not that I hate golf or that I hate any programs, because I think they're all good. I do worry about the addition of adding another activity. However, knowing that I've been here once in my career and didn't do so well, the thing that I would ask the board to think about is if they did add, that they should follow the procedures of the protocols of how soccer was brought in, i.e. that for the first 5 years, it would be a pilot program for students. The coaching responsibilities would could be part of the golf club, golf association, first tee, junior golf, whatever you would like to call it. And then for the first 5 years, similar to what we did again in soccer, that the parents of those students would be responsible for food and lodging, lodging if it existed, meaning, an overnight stay, regionals, state, whatever else that could happen. And then I believe that would be consistent with where we were last time. But later in my report, I will let you know that we are in different times, budget wise. We are in different times employment wise. I don't see us as a district growing in numbers. And I think what we offer is all good for kids. I'm not asking to cut one to add another. But knowing that we are looking at the possibility of a kindergarten class in the 30s, hopefully low 40s, the indicators moving forward is we're not having 100 students, in a class, or even 70s. And so when we add it, it does make that complex. So I just want to make sure that I think that was the conversation in which we had this afternoon. And if I misspoke, Brad, I apologize. I do have a student that would like to speak.
Okay. Yeah, you can let him go to the podium. And please introduce yourself.
My name is Weston. I'm a 6th grade student at the Newcastle Middle School. I'm so happy that I am here tonight to tell you why I want golf to be a high school sport. Golf is a sport that is for anyone. When you look across any golf course, you will see people of all sizes and ages enjoying golf. Some sports are easier to play if it fits you. Golf is something that any kid can play, regardless of strength, speed, and physical build. Kids who feel like they don't stack up to other physical demanding sports may feel more comfortable playing golf. They're not a disadvantage just because they're shorter or slower than other kids. Golf challenges me mentally and physically too, and also allows me to stay in shape and active during the off season of other sports I play, instead of sitting around on the couch not doing anything. Golf is like wrestling or cross country. Though as an individual sport, you also compete as a team. We can personally learn to deal with struggles and overcome them, challenge ourselves, and grow as an individual. Players are also doing this with their teammates or friends along the way. I asked the board, why not? Why not start up a high school golf program? Why not give other Newcastle students who maybe don't feel like they fit in other sports a chance to play golf? Why not give me a chance to play golf? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so since we're awaiting information for that discussion, then my suggestion would be that we table our first reading until the next meeting when we have that.
And if that would be the board's request, that would be fine. I believe, no, that's not where I should have spoke. Brad, what do you think?
Well, first of all, we're under a little bit of, do I need a mic?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, we're in a little bit of confusion. I thought after the discussion we had last meeting that was considered the first reading. So when we seen the agenda, we got a little bit confused with that. We also had a little trouble getting some of the information that was requested, so we're still working on some of the statistical data. that you guys asked for our proposal and to put together. So we came thinking this was gonna be the second reading and more so just discussion. We're here to answer questions if a board member had it. And trying to get our proposal together, but so maybe we need that cleared up. Also, with the discussion on it being a pilot program or a volunteer program that we would have to come up with all the funding. We would also like a number on what that would involve. Are you guys asking us to pay a head coach under your guys' prices and fees and your guys' contracts? Or do we get to find a head coach that'll work at what we decide to pay that person? Before we start looking in and offering, if we're able to do that, which I don't think is gonna be a problem, we have to have an idea of what you guys want for a dollar amount.
Okay, Brad, did you have something to say about that? Yeah.
So not knowing exactly how the last one was handled. I believe the only requirement that we would have is that the coach would have to be certified under the Wyoming High School Activities / PTSB. Whether that at what rate or, if it's a token of appreciation from the club, i.e., if you're going to coach the golf team, you get different arrangements with your membership. I think that would fall back on the club, if that answers your question.
So if me or say Wyatt or somebody else from the country club got certified and said, we're gonna volunteer for 5 years for free, that would be fine by the school. Is that correct?
That's my
Yes.
understanding. I can't speak for the board, but
That's my understanding is, you would meet requirements.
Yeah, I mean, if we got the certification from the state to be a high school head coach, it's not gonna be, you guys sign a contract with somebody, and now you guys gotta come up with 4190 or whatever you guys discussed tonight.
Under that pilot program for the sport, following the precedents of soccer, then it would be up to you what you paid, as long as they're certified.
Okay, and any other fees or numbers you guys come up with that we would have to come up with, we'd like to have those numbers also.
Okay, well, I guess I thought you guys were bringing those. So here's where part of our confusion is, I guess. We don't know for sure how many kids you have interested to where you could calculate how many hotel rooms you would be and meals you would be buying and stuff for trips, and we don't have a schedule. So
I guess
is that something we would have them
that
meet with our athletic director?
I already understand that the pilot program is the rooms and the meals. I'm not worried about that. That'd be something golf team's already taken care of. I'm asking for fees that we would have to pay the school, whether that's insurance
Oh,
or, some fees you guys have for having a team listed under you. If the motel rooms and the food, you guys have already stated, we're gonna have to cover that.
Right.
I'll take care of that number.
okay.
I'm looking for a number from you guys. I don't want a hidden fee that I'm unaware of, I guess.
Okay, so Billy was next and then we'll go to.
I guess I got a question, and Brad, you can answer this. Have you guys seen, or do we have a proposal that soccer brought to us that we could share with these guys?
No, I looked into that and that is missing.
Okay, cause I was under the
Yeah.
understanding that it was only
20
4 years when we talked about it, not 5. Pilot program was 4 years. When we talked about it last meeting, isn't that? I mean, that's what I remember.
That's what I recall, but I looked into trying to get the soccer proposal and we are unable to find it.
Okay,
Okay.
Alicia, okay, catastrophic insurance is $7 per participant.
That's going to WHSAB, is that would have to be through the school. So we have a form that has every. school
Uh-huh.
on it. You take it times the number of kids for like golf, 10 kids.
Right.
so Basketball.
I need this.
Yes, because
Sorry.
we have people,
So it's $7 a kid. So we don't know until like when school starts, you have to tell us how many kids. I put that on the form.
It's due to the state, I think at the end of July.
Okay, then Joe, you were next.
I got two questions on that. So with the coaches pay thing, if they volunteer their time, do we have to show that they were paid to help out with WH, or they can just volunteer for free and just, there doesn't need to be any trace of that? Is that
That's my understanding.
okay? And then the second one is, I wasn't here in 2004, so I'm not sure on precedents, but we did just add a sport here recently. Now, I do agree with a probationary period for it. I do agree with that, but we have just added a sport here recently that we didn't jump through hoops for.
Oh,
Did we do 3 readings on girls wrestling?
I think we expanded an existing program.
Because the
Okay,
girls.
thank you for that.
Girls could
Yeah.
wrestle with the boys.
Okay.
Yeah,
You just-
we just expanded an existing program.
Okay.
Yes, Carrie, did you have something to add, please? Yes.
Just a thought I had, as well as the catastrophic insurance. As the board, as far as a volunteer, they do have to have the background check, the fingerprints. And we do have a quote unquote volunteer form that would need to be signed by any coach, so.
Right, and there's no extra expense to filling that out, although they would have to pay for the background check. So Jason, you had something.
So I guess with what Billy said, so for clarification, we do not have, or we do not know where the contract for the soccer is. Well, but I'm saying we're asking this group to abide by that, but yet we as a district or board cannot give them that information.
I'm assuming it was probably disposed of once we established soccer as a full-fledged sport. That's my guess. I can't verify that though. Bryce,
I've requested from one of the people that was one of the original proposers to see if they still have a copy. You know, again, it's been 20 years since that proposal was made, but I know who was on that original committee, and so I requested that today, actually, when Mr. LaCroix was hunting down a copy, but you know, 20 years ago, it might be kind of hard to find a piece of paper from then.
go ahead. Jason.
I guess I know John was gonna say something when we were talking about tabling this, but I think I would agree that we need to table it or whatever we want to call it till we can get them, or till at least us board has an idea of what we're asking them to do when it comes to the contract of soccer.
Okay, so let me tell you that our minutes reflect that we had a discussion and decided we were not ready for spring, but that they will, here's a quote. They will present, oh no, do not restart me. Well, restart me, don't restart my laptop. Quote unquote, they will present the proposal on first reading for the 24-25 school year at the next board meeting. So this would be the first reading. That was the discussion. It was not a new business item. Billy.
Yeah, and I agree with the minutes, but I'm kind of with Jason. How can we ask them to give us a proposal when we last meeting specifically said, let's follow the same proposal as soccer, and we can't produce that soccer? I think we as a board and them need to have that discussion of expectations and then bring back a proposal to us. So I'm in agreeance with tabling it until we can get them the information they need so they can build a proposal for us.
Okay, so my suggestion would be that if you guys could meet with our athletic directors and they can you guys can go through a list together. I incorrectly assumed you all would be contacting each other and doing that. So forgive me for not suggesting that, but that's what I would do. Now, that being said, there would be 3 readings, so we could go ahead, but John.
Madam Chair, the reason that we have 3 readings, I'll just explain that, is it's a history thing. When either a new policy or a new program is brought forth is so that the board has time to think about it. The public has time to bring information and the board has time to gather information. And that way we can go out and talk to people in the community or they can come talk to us so we can make a better informed decision on whether to go forward with this. To table this is I don't think is necessary. I think that that's the purpose of 3 readings. And so we don't need to table it for another time for a first reading. I think we could vote on it tonight. And and it doesn't mean it's going to be put into place tomorrow. What it means is that we're going to continue to discuss the pros and cons of what's going on here. That's all this vote will mean, unless it fails. If it fails, then it's done. But if it passes, then we will discuss it again at the next meeting and we can bring those proposals to us. And so that's the purpose of 3 readings.
It was interesting when he was removed. There's quite a few people that will remember my comments at the time because it came after Ogden reportedly, I guess you should say, because it was reported and then he claimed that didn't happen, but we all saw the letters where he made the chairmans of the board sign that we're going to do this and that and the other thing, and we're not going to disobey. And
we're not going to disobey. I love that. I love that part. We're not going to disobey.
pretty much that's what I got
Yeah.
from it. Reading it is, aye, Captain, we will follow your rule. It kind of made me look a little different at Driscoll. And then this year's made
Well,
it
and you
even-
didn't just look different. Come on. You gave him a nickname even.
I gave him a nickname. He was saved in my phone still to this day as Dictator Driscoll. And I still don't feel bad about that because Weston County hasn't seen him once leading up to this session.
And so that's the purpose of 3 readings. The second thing is the contract. I don't know if we ever had a written contract with the soccer. We had a verbal contract with them as far as, and I was here, as far as what we were going to do, how many players they had to have in order to form a team, who were going to be the coaches for the boys and the girls, and the cost and how that was all going to be shared. Now, whether it's 5 years, whether it's 4 years, whether it's 3 years, you know, that's really irrelevant as long as I think we need a probationary period to make sure this thing's going to fly, going to work, and before the school district really takes it on. I think that's the important part of it. You know, and I don't ever remember a written contract that the board signed or the soccer coaches signed or the proposers of the soccer program came in with. So I don't know if it's necessary that we have a 5-year. That's fine with me. That seems a little long, but I mean, if it's not going to go in 3 years, it's probably not going to go. And I don't know what the number is. That would be one of the things that as a board, I would like to hear, what do you think you're going to have for numbers? What, you know, we heard you have to have four members, and then it was 5 members, and you would probably take 6. So I'd like to have a final number, you know, of 5. If that's what a team is made up of, that's fine. And so that we have to have at least 5 people out for the program in order to make a team. But it's nice to have 2 or 3 substitutes in there too, but I don't know if that's necessary. And then just for my final thought is, our budget this year is going to be completely for the 24-25 year is going to be completely different than we've had before. So of course, you guys are paying for everything right now. But it may make a difference if we do a 3-year probationary period. That 4th year, when that comes through, if our budgets stay the way they are and the way the state is funding us, it may be very difficult for that board or this board to approve it at that point in time. I just want to throw that out there. I think that's very important to know and being upfront and honest with you.
Thank you. Brad?
I got a question because I don't have any kids as a swimmer and I know that golf can work in this way. If you have a year where you are shortcoming, if you've had a team and, you know, whatever, for whatever reason, you only have 3 kids come out, those kids can all qualify at regionals and state as individuals. And but the team that year would not be able to compete. Well, they'd have to be a stellar team of 3 kids to compete with only 3 scores in. But with swimming, maybe the ADs can answer. If we don't have a team to compete, are the kids still going and competing at state? I mean, do we have a cutoff for swimming? Like if you guys don't have 10 swimmers come out, we're not having a season. Or maybe Bryce? 5?
We have a cutoff, but we've never experienced that.
Okay.
Yep. We do have cutoff numbers for every
Okay.
sport.
I just didn't know what some of the sports like wrestling and swimming
We
we
have-
can compete individually.
Yeah, we have chosen in some seasons and years to go ahead and keep a sport that fell below those numbers, believing that they would go back up, which they have sometimes. So you guys are gonna get together. That means we could go ahead and do this and you'll get us that information on the 10th. Okay,
Quick.
sure,
For
Wyatt.
John. So John, since you were here for the soccer proposal, is there something like in the Wyoming State Constitution or the board or some sort of bylaw that lays out a thing? Like I've written many research grants and there's a clear credentials that when they're asking for money or for something of this section, we want this information. Was that provided to the soccer or is there anything that we have to have a formal formatting and also information that needs to be provided in that sense?
I wish, I don't recall. I
Okay.
really don't. I know they came to us with the proposal that they would furnish all the coaching and the jerseys and the uniforms and whatever else was needed. But I don't recall anything like that. No.
Okay, so there's nothing formally in the bylaws that we have to present certain information for the board. If we can just show it's sustainable, we're okay in this proposal?
I believe
Yeah.
that's the
Okay.
case, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion on this motion,
Madam Chair,
Paul?
I was just curious, we do have 3 ratings on it. And to John's point, it might be prudent to take a vote tonight just to see if it passes or fails. So
That's-
that nobody's wasting their time or effort if it does fail.
That's what we're just about to
So
do.
I think it would be wise to go.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, no. Motion carried. We'll move to second reading and have some more information from you guys at our next meeting. Thank you. And we'll watch the golfers leave.
There's just no fun after this.
They left you guys all alone in the back row, didn't they? All right. We're moving on to revisions to policy CCA-E. Weston County School District #1 organizational chart. Brad, do you have a recommendation?
Madam Chair, I do. I believe in your packet, the exhibit towards the organizational chart reflects those suggestions for last time. So I would ask the board for approval to those revisions to the policy in which is in the packet.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revisions to policy CCA-E, Weston County School District #1 organization chart. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. New business, initial contract, teacher recommendations.
Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board the approval of the initial contract teachers that again are in your packet. And I would make that recommendation based on the 2024-25 school year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the initial contract teachers listed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carried. Move on to continuous contract teachers.
Madam Chair,
Continuing contract, actually, that should say continuing. I missed that. It's okay, go ahead.
I got it.
Be
Sorry.
picky.
So Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board to grant the continuing contract status to the lone individual for the 2024-25 school year and many years to continue after that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the continuing contract teacher presented for the 24-25 school year. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Non-tenure certified staff recommendations.
Madam Chair, I would recommend the approval of the list that is in your packet for the board for the 24-25 school year.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the non-tenured certified staff list for the 24-25 school year. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Certified, I'm sorry, classified transfer.
Sorry. I was really kind of old there too, wasn't I? Here, let me back up. Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board the approval of the classified transfer of Donna Rawhauser from the elementary para to the elementary custodian.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the classified transfer from Donna Rawhauser from elementary para to elementary custodian. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Certified recommendation, number 1.
Madam Chair, pretty excited about this next piece here because, as you know, it's very difficult times in staffing patterns across the state and the nation. So I would recommend to the board the certified recommendation of Leah Morrill as a special education teacher.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified recommendation for Lee Morrill as a special ed teacher. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Certified recommendation number 2.
I would recommend to the board the approval of Sarah Keeler as a special education teacher. And both of those positions, Madam Chair, because I was so excited. First, I got Lee's name wrong, and I do need permission to post some para positions in which these two vacate.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified recommendation for Sarah Keeler as a special ed teacher and to post the necessary special ed para positions. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Certified transfer.
I would recommend to the board the transfer of Bailey Whitney from a first grade teacher to a special education teacher.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified transfer of Bailey Whitney from first grade teacher to special ed teacher. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Certified recommendation.
Madam Chair, I would make the recommendation to the board for Patricia Miller as a special education teacher.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified recommendation for Patricia Miller as a special education teacher. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right. We're up to reports. Angie. You don't have anything? Brad, should we, since Angie's here right now for this, should we, discuss the data correction now, or would you prefer to wait until?
Okay, so ready to take the wind out of my sails. So I was so excited.
Sorry. You knew it was gonna come at some point today.
So, okay, let me try this in an adult
Questions for
manner.
you.
It's on. It's on and Tina's backed up so I don't spit on it. One of the things that I guess, and I'll give you a little bit of background. Being in this position over a considerable period of time, one of the toughest things for the board and for the staff and for the community to understand is a budget. And it really gets complex when the organization, the Department of Ed, absolutely changes the rules to the game, or as even as late as last year, Angie being a brand new business manager, we needed numbers to put the budget together, which by law, you have to approve by the third Wednesday of in July. Those numbers weren't finalized after that. So that had to be a lot of fun. And then last Friday, on top of the increase in insurance, trying to help our staff keep pace with the ever-changing economic demands of their lives, we were given a notification that there was an error in the formula, and it dealt with a section which they referred to as the 100, which by state statute says that they can change. But anyway, we ended up losing approximately $200,000 in a budget that we asked you guys to approve in July. As we're getting ready for the next July, I just find this as unacceptable, period. I don't know how in the world we in good faith can take care of those that take care of children when there is not a consistent, reliable means of funding public education, i.e. there's a model there. The model hasn't been followed for years. There's a pending lawsuit over that. I.e. you build a budget and you really don't know the numbers. And oh, by the way, now we made a mistake and it's going to cost you another $200,000. It's just wrong. It's wrong. And truly, deep down inside, we'll do our darndest. We really will. But these are the things that truly impact programming, i.e. activities that you just heard about. They can impact staffing patterns. And let's face it, guys, this thing's going to be with us for a while. This isn't just a one and done. This is $200,000 that you lost this year, and even is going to be $200,000 less than what you will earn through your ECA adjustment as we get ready to build another budget. And it's just frustrating. It's just absolutely frustrating. And to try to keep it professional, I probably should stop there.
Well, I'll be happy to take over for you, Brad. Superintendent of Public Instruction, one of her jobs is to tell us what the legislature has funded for us through the model. Last year, she did not accomplish that in time. So we had to budget off previous years and numbers and our experience. So not only was she failed to get us that on time, now almost 10 months later, 10 months out of a fiscal year, the superintendent of public instruction tells us that they made a mistake and that it costs this district. And I don't think she realizes what $200,000 means to a small school district or a community. And as far as I'm concerned, anybody who wants to call the Department of Education and ask them what the heck they're doing, and if she's out campaigning, she needs to pay more attention to her department and the people working for her. And I hope that some people will call Senator Steinmetz and Senator Driscoll and Representative Slagle and Representative Nyman and tell them that the department, not only are they not funding the model they approve, then the department is messing with the numbers. It is not right. And we need someone who will do that job, do it with fidelity, do it with accuracy. And moving forward, I hope that we see improved service from our Wyoming Department of Education. Jay.
Madam Chair, as Brad alluded, there's already a lawsuit pending. What is, when it comes to this $200,000, what is our legal obligation to have to pay or not pay or?
No, it's
Did we
done. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they just take it.
There's no option.
Oh, so they just take it on the end.
There's no option.
Well-
So their poor performance, apparently, unless we make ramifications for them, there are none.
Well,
Thank you, Madam Chair. You guys did good. I sat in a Zoom. I reached out to Leslie and Ashley at WDE because I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand this. There's all these spreadsheets, there's all these tabs, and now you're saying you're taking this money. And Brad did urge me to do that because I didn't know what to do. And basically they told me that it's a WDE normal process they have until March 31st to correct the 100, but this was definitely their error. And if the board wanted them to explain that to them, I said, well, I know I didn't make the mistake, but I'm not worried about that. What am I supposed to do going forward? And they read statutes to me saying that it's a proposed budget, it's an estimated budget. And it was an unusual year for the number of corrections. We weren't the only district, but it does impact us. So that's just.
Yeah, I just, on behalf of our Department of Education, I'd like to apologize to you because that is undue stress for you too. And everyone. So does anyone else like to add to the conversation?
Madam Chair.
Jason.
Have you been in contact with said people, Driscoll and all of them yet over this, or do we as a board need to put something forward and send to them?
That's up to the pleasure of the board. I mean, I actually think a board letter to all four of them would be good. They need to understand what's going on.
And again, over the years, we've always invited them, not that they'll ever show up, but I would extend the opportunity for them to come here and explain to us and what they're going to do to protect us moving into the future.
I would like to add something because, one of the things that everybody in this room truly gets beat up by is the word accountability. And if you don't believe me, look at all the charts, look at all the graphs, and really, when you pick up just about any kind of educational journal, it's about how public schools are failing children. And I'm here to tell you, I think that is the absolute worst comment in the world. And I do take offense to it. Could we do better for kids? Absolutely. But here's the thing, for us to do what we need to do for kids, we have to take care of those that work with kids. And when all of a sudden these things hit, it's very difficult to continue to try to take any of that change and not say it's not going to affect staffing patterns. It's not going to affect morale. Don't worry, it's not going to affect your benefits. It's just so crazy how quick they can point the finger at us, and yet we just sit here hopelessly misguided and going to do the best.
And I absolutely believe, I would predict that we would be told by legislative folks that they're not in charge of the Department of Education in Wyoming. But guess what? The Department of Education does not fund itself. The legislature funds that entire department. So they do have some power over quality and quantity out of there. So, John.
Madam Chair, I guess I'd send out a couple invitations, not only to our representatives and senators and ask them to come to a meeting and explain this to us, but also to the head of the state superintendent and invite them, I'll just put them and staff to come here to explain it to us. And then I would send out a letter of invitation to our illustrious governor to come up and explain what's going on also. I mean, he's been here before and I mean, if we're going to go down this political road, which it is, I think they need to know. And I doubt that any of them show up, but it's worth a try to get them here at a board meeting. And we could even have a special board meeting, I hope, Madam Chair, for this process. And this is an election year. Might be good to get a few of them here.
Thank you. I agree. Okay. How about Brad and I will work on a letter. How's that? And we'll get a calm third party to edit for us. All right. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add? Oh, Lord. Lord love a duck. I don't know. Okay. So anyone have anything else to say about that? And now we can just, some of us can let our blood pressure go down. Okay. Tyler Bartlett, make us smile.
I think I can. Thank you, Madam Chair. Enjoyed seeing those of you guys that made it to conferences. I would say more well attended in person than I expected, which I mean, if you stopped by Thursday, you wouldn't believe me because nobody comes on Thursday. But Tuesday, we actually had a lot of people come in, which is not always the case in the spring. I've told you before, ever since we changed this format to kind of be a appointment based, really specific, we have a really good success rate with communicating with parents one way or another. So I think that's huge. One thing we're really noticing, and I think I might have shared this with you before, but it's just, when you think of the old model of parent teacher conferences, I remember like that's when I found out what my grades were and as a kid. And that's when I found out if my parents were mad at me or not. And I think now with power schools and emails and dojos and Facebooks and I think the communication is just, it's constant. And so I think a lot of parents, I mean, I did have a family that said, no, we're not going to come because we already know what they're going to say. And they say it all the time. And so, I mean, yep. I mean, to some degree, I get that. But so I think it was successful. I think it was great, but it's just something to think about. Here's my smiles. In the last week, current week, and then I think I'm a week away, we've got students in Costa Rica on a science trip. We've got students in Washington, D.C. on a close-up trip. We took students to a state math counts competition in Laramie, and we will have yet another science competition because 2 wasn't enough. So we're going to go to a science Olympiad somewhere. I don't know where Colgrove's taking him, but he's going. I said this in an email to parents a couple months ago, I think somewhere in there, but I mean, athletics, academics, I think it was around the time that Alice in Wonderland was being done at the Double Aces. I think for a small town, if you're looking for something to do in our school system, we have a lot to offer. And so I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of what's happening in our building and across the district. So there you go. Unless you guys have questions.
Thank you, Tyler. Does anyone have questions for Tyler? Oh, Jason does.
I think next year we may need to send some sunscreen. Looking at some of those pictures.
Oh, yeah, lesson learned. You're down at the equator now, guys. Gotta adjust.
I bet it was on their packing lists.
They're working on base team.
Bryce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to let you know, the ACT test that's the state test for juniors. Juniors don't take the Y-top in the state of Wyoming. They take the ACT test. And so we have that wrapped up. All but 3 students are done with that. So that's pretty good. Usually we have a couple more kids miss on that day. But then they have to make it up anyway. But everybody showed up. And so we're in a pretty good spot. And then just want to put something on your radar. I know we're ways out from it. But just for your planning purposes, on May 1st, 3017 Challenge is going to be putting on a program again here in Newcastle. It's for all of our freshman students. A large number of local responders come together and form a committee headed by Lisa Williams out of Lusk to put this program on. It used to be called Freshman Impact. They've taken it and put their own spin on it and made it really relevant to Wyoming teens. So if you guys want to come in on Wednesday, May 1st, we also host for this event Sundance, Moorcroft, Upton, Lusk, and Hewlett. And so there's a lot of kids you won't recognize, but then all of our freshmen participate on that day as well. So I'd invite you to check it out.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Anyone have questions for Bryce? Thank you. Randy.
I don't, he's taking it away. Look at him. I don't really have much. I was just letting, we had a good turnout for parent teacher conferences as always. We were 97% last week, and I know I had 2 parents come in tonight for conferences. So we'll get to 100 before we're done. So the other fun thing we have is on April 5th, we're doing a pie throwing contest. I'm hoping the kids start voting on the teacher box a little more, or I get 6 pies in the face unless I decide to be the boss. But yeah, they're pretty stoked about it. So I invite you to come join the fun.
Hey, I tried to have good behavior during parent teacher conferences so I could get a token to vote, but no one gave me one.
Yes.
So I didn't get a vote, but yeah, Brandy's way ahead.
And I've been trying to, pass out tokens and tell him vote for the teachers. And I gave one to a little boy and he turned around and put it right in my box. And I said, hey, and he goes, I like you. they think it'll be fun for me to get a pie in the face, so it's a reward for me, so.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's all I have unless you have a question.
thank you. Karen?
Sure. I didn't really bring anything for you tonight. I just am excited to get planning for next year, fully staffed with certified teachers, and kids will get their services. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Sonia?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I just have a couple of quick updates. It was a little while ago, but we had to turn in a K-3 literacy PD plan to the state. And so we did get confirmation back from them that it is approved. So kudos to Dr. Pazinski on all of her work on that. Because we do not have to do any modifications or corrections. So we are looking into like just clarification of statute and definition and structures and systems that we have in place if it would qualify for a virtual education status. Essentially, every district in Wyoming who meets the definition of virtual education must submit an application, narrative, fill out assurances every single year. We have never done that because we have not ever met that. But I do think as structures kind of change within our system and needs of students, that may change. So we'll be investigating more of that. And lastly, speaking of accountability and WDE, it is time, it's, I know, right? The assessment portion is really being discussed heavily as far as where does YTOP fit into that? The contract with YTOP is about up. So automatically when that happens, an RFP or request for proposal will go out to companies to say, you can take a bid and see who will, win the bid for assessment purposes in Wyoming. Usually before that, there's a lot of meetings for needs. What does it look like? How does it change? I think profile of the graduate and RIDE will have a heavy impact on, can it look different? So I don't know what that means. I do know that there is something that is called IADA, Innovative Assessment Demonstration Authority. I don't really know what that means, but I'm sure we will learn more about that. It's basically a federal assessment with flexibility plan or guidelines or structure that's different from what we have now. So I have a meeting next week with the curriculum directors to learn a little bit more about that and go down the process of giving feedback, or I'm sure there's committees being made. So anyway, so I'll keep you abreast of that. Other than that, that's all I have for you unless you have questions.
Who has the assessment contract now?
The name of the
Don't remember.
company has changed several times. I think the name of the company right now is Cambrium.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it was AIR and I think it changed to Cambrium. I think.
I think you're right. Thank you.
Yep.
Troy? You have a report? No? Do you want to wait a few minutes for yours? All right. Casey?
Thank you. So the only thing really is the student council did a Easter egg fundraiser where students can buy an Easter egg either for themselves or for someone else, or put a little note in it or something. And one of the eggs has the chance to win like a cash prize and that sort of thing. So that went decently well. We made a little bit of money off of that. But that's the only thing that we've done recently. I will say we have a meeting April 4th. I believe it's a Thursday, that I invite any of you to come to. It should be pretty brief. We don't have a whole lot to talk about, but just to kind of see what we're doing. So
What time?
at 6:30.
In the library?
Yes.
All right.
But other than that,
And
there's no
prom's
questions.
coming,
And
wait,
April
next time.
27th is prom.
April 27th is prom.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
Thank
Thank you, Casey. Brad LaCroix.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I have just a quick reminder for Saturday. The celebration of life for Sue Jones will start at 10. I think earlier I had said 1 o'clock. But actually the event will take place at 10 in the auditorium. And unless there's any questions you have for me, I think I've said enough.
Does anyone have anything to say to Brad? Questions? All right. Board reports. Jason.
Ours is tomorrow, but I pulled up the agenda here. The only thing, we got 22 students, currently, April 8th through the 10th. BOCES will be presenting at their annual, Wyoming Associations of Special Education Administrators, conference. One of the topics is going to be the funding, the current funding mechanism with DFS funding, and court-ordered placements. That was brought up this year at our conference, or last year's conference. You know, when it comes to the court-ordered placements, how BOCES is getting not funded for that. So, and that's really it, so.
And in case folks don't know, a judge can order a court-ordered placement to a specific institution, whether they're, it's really interesting. They don't just have the Department of Health along with the State Board of Education pick the most appropriate place for a child. Now, they will take suggestions, but a judge can just pick a place that they think works, which is
correct.
Something that needs to be changed, I think, but it's been that way for a long time.
Well, and again, that, you know, and with that placement, that cost is on BOCES itself. It's not like where the school sends a placement, it's funded through, you know, whatever we use to fund that portion of that. But yeah, it comes strictly from the school, so.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you had any meetings? Anyone else want to talk about parent-teacher conferences or?
As always, it was always good to see everybody. Getting to visit with parents and teachers is always really enjoyable. The staff, we have fantastic staff. Can't say enough about them, so. It was just parents that wanted to visit. It's always good to get a chance to talk to them, so can't be beat. So I didn't hear any kids screaming like Tyler did when he got his bad grades, so I guess it was okay, I guess. I don't know, but it was definitely enjoyable. Okay, well, either way, you were in trouble. That's my point. It's just, you know.
Jason.
And it just reiterate what these guys said, the teachers have always said they've really appreciated us supplying those meals for them during those long nights. So again, just
Yep. All right, yes, see, so I had a really fun conversation and I've asked some folks from the elementary school to make a presentation to us a little later in the year or a little later this spring. We've got some fifth graders who have been working with tutoring and mentoring the little kindergartners, and those kids have been doing that for 2 years. 2 years in the life of a fifth grader is a long time. And the teacher said they run it like a really efficient PLC. There'll be a little card for someone that showed where they needed to learn how to count to 10, and then that was scratched off and bumped up to 25, and then now they're like past 100, and it was just so darn cute. And I would really like to recognize those kids because they're really making a difference in some other kids' lives, and hopefully they're learning a love of teaching too. So I visited with Brandy about hopefully getting some of those kids up here to tell us what they like about it and what they're learning from it. And another group that I would like to invite at some point, maybe even after school's out if they're totally exhausted, but I was hoping maybe some of the Costa Rica folks could come in and tell us a little bit, show us some cool pictures or do a presentation at some point in the future. And then I attended the Weston County Unstoppable Generation Open House. And some of the things they're going to be doing to help kids in our community, I think is really important. And I would like them to, I've invited them to come in probably maybe in June or something. They can come in and give us a short presentation on what they're doing. But right now they could use some bookshelves to put some books on, and they have well, I'll tell you one of the really cool things I have, or I think that they have, is in their bathroom, they built a big cabinet and it's called the hygiene closet. And anybody who goes in there can take whatever they need out of that hygiene closet. If they don't have a toothbrush and toothpaste at home, they can take that and just put it in their bag while they're in there. They don't have to ask for it. No one has to see them take it. You can imagine all the other kinds of supplies that are in there that kids might need and not have at home. And so they're just, I just think it's important for us to all hear what those young ladies who went to school are doing. Brett.
Madam Chair, that reminds me, my first year here, very early in the morning, we had a custodian and I couldn't believe actually what they were doing, but they were actually preparing clothes for a child who had left the dirty ones the day before to switch out of. And at the same time, when you talk about all those hygiene things, to a T. And it was amazing because when we were talking, she truly thought that she would be in trouble for doing that, and even would open the doors as I think it was like 5 o'clock when she started. And a lot of young people, so they weren't being embarrassed in front of their peers, would come in and shower, drop off clothing, pick up clothing, and do all of those things so that they could be comfortable in their learning environment. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I hope what they're doing will bring it home a little more to some folks who just don't want to believe that we have kids in those kids in some of those situations in our community, because we do. And so that's what I had for my little board report. Future agenda items. To continue on, of course, I want to remind you of the early start on April 10th for an executive session. Anyone have anything else for a future agenda item other than my list of programs? Okay. And then any more discussion items? We did sort of, oh, I do have one more thing. Sorry. I have I've worked up my staff spotlight questionnaire. So I'm going to ask CeeLo to, if we can send that out to all the staff, and hopefully someone will say, yes, please make me the spotlight of the district for social media. So I'll do my best sweet talking if anybody wants to do that. So that's ready to go. All right. Does anyone have anything under discussion? CeeLo.
If you guys are going to go to the end of the year celebration, if you just let me know so I can get you into the account so that they go by April 1st. So when we put the food order in.
Okay. Okay. Everybody tell CeeLo if you're going. And I assume Casey's invited does he want to hang out with us?
Say why.
It's the day, it's the night before prom. You probably don't want to, but That's your birthday?
Don't you want to spend it with us?
Well, if you'd like to go, please let Sila know. Okay. Does anyone have anything else to come before the board tonight? If not, I declare this meeting adjourned. I almost handed it to Billy.